Welcome everyone. As mentioned, we represent one of the newest European Union's institutions, the ECCC, which is based in Bucharest, and we would like to speak a bit today to present to you our activities and, in the second part of the presentation, the funding opportunities for you as stakeholders in the cybersecurity ecosystem to get EU funding. So, the ECCC was established by the regulation of the Parliament and the Council in 2021, together with introduction of two other concepts, so the network of the NCCs and the cybersecurity competence community. And the job of the ECCC is really to be the engine that is pushing forward the implementation of the cybersecurity policies of the European Union. And we are meant to fund research, innovation, and industrial policy. So basically, managing funds is the main area of our action. It's an industrial policy instrument that we use to boost European cybersecurity ecosystem in the sense of financing deployment of novel technologies, supporting implementation of EU legislation in the field of cybersecurity, and boosting capabilities of European entities in the field of cybersecurity. And as I've mentioned, ECCC is part of a larger whole, which is also constituted by the competence community and the network of national coordination centers. So, based on our regulation, every member state is creating an NCC, a local national coordination center for cybersecurity, and we are supposed to be managing a network of the NCCs, but also we are supposed to be animating and managing the community. The community here is understood as a community of all the cybersecurity relevant stakeholders in Europe. So obviously we have a lot of talent in Poland, in other member states. We have excellent companies, we have excellent startups, we have academia that is conducting research on the cutting edge of the discipline, and we have public institutions that are, for instance, tasked with operational cybersecurity. Now, the challenge is to get everyone together so we are aware of what is happening in the market, we are aware of the capabilities that are lacking in the industry, we are aware of the needs of the public sector, and we can work together to come with response to the challenges that we face. Right? So we have the base in Europe. Now the idea is of creating a system that connects the elements of that base. Because, as you can imagine, we are facing competition in the field of cybersecurity if you look globally. And the competition we face comes from very mature players, from very mature markets. So one of the solutions to deal with that is to create a sort of an ecosystem, or the ecosystem is there, but to connect the ecosystem with public authorities, with academia, so we can work together. We are aware of what talent, what technologies are being developed in Europe. We are aware of how they can be deployed for public use, and to make the European cybersecurity economy more competitive in the global scale. Now, the Competence Center, to do that, the Competence Center is managing the funds, as I've mentioned. So two main funds that are supposed to be managed by the ECCC is the Digital Europe program and the Horizon Europe program in the areas that they relate to cybersecurity. And then, as I mentioned, we facilitate and coordinate the network of the national cyber competence centers. So it's a network of public entities established in every member state that is supposed to serve as an intermediary between the European Union on one hand and between the local ecosystem on the other hand. So in Poland we have NCC Poland, which is operational, which should be the one-stop shop for whatever needs Polish ecosystem might have in terms of the needs that can be met by EU funding and by EU policies at large. And then, if you look at the current EU cybersecurity strategy, it speaks about three tools, if you will, or three instruments of implementation. So one is regulatory, right? So this is legislative acts like the Cyber Resilience Act or the newest Cyber Solidarity Act. Then we have policy initiatives of different kinds, For instance, the EU Cyber Dialogue and the diplomatic efforts to establish cybersecurity dialogues with various stakeholders inside and outside of the EU. And then we have the center one, so investment. So this is really the bread and butter of our activity. Our mission is to streamline EU funding to European entities, including small and medium enterprises, large companies, including industrial operators who might be of need of boosting their cybersecurity due to the legislation. That also means public administration, public entities, research institutes, universities, academia, and third sector. So industrial associations, but also foundations and other entities. And this is the way we contribute to the implementation of the EU cybersecurity strategy, by providing funding, by streamlining funding to making the objectives tangible and reachable. And this is also displayed on this slide in here, so you can see that there are several ways of action, so to prevent, obviously, detect, respond and deter, but in general, to be able to do those things, we need cybersecurity capabilities in the EU. We need them on the side of the companies, so the companies, they need to be prepared for the cybersecurity challenges. Obviously, in the current geopolitical climate, we need also our public institutions to be prepared for cybersecurity challenges. And the funding we manage goes into different initiatives. So to just give you a flavor, the creation of SOCs is one of the chief fields of our activity. So we fund the creation of SOCs, but we also fund the development of SOCs, in the sense of, for example, funding the adoption of novel technologies at the service of existing SOCs, ISACs, other institutions, cyber hubs. Another example is the deployment of novel and emerging technologies that we also finance. So for instance, if there is a company that is developing an AI ML-based tool for automated threat detection, and that tool is promising, that company can participate in our grant to receive 50% funding for marketization of that technology. Or looking from the other hand, other side of the process, a company which already is active, already has some cybersecurity systems in place, but would like to boost its capabilities with novel technologies such as AI and machine learning, can also apply to finance that process of deployment. And so we drive, as I said, we are the engine of driving the implementation of the EU cybersecurity strategy, and we are doing this to meet those objectives that you can see. So first, our mission is to reinforce EU leadership and strategic autonomy. So we want to be sure that in Europe, we have the cybersecurity capabilities that are made in Europe. We want to make sure that the technologies that we use come from a source that we know. And we want to boost European companies in what they can provide for the need of European stakeholders. So we support the Union technological capabilities, and we aim to increase the global competitiveness of European cybersecurity sector at large. Then our objectives are to enhance cyber capabilities and knowledge and infrastructure. Hence, we finance actions that target all of those elements, from infrastructure development to knowledge, to creation of systems that help implement cybersecurity policies, finally to specific technological capabilities. The other objective is to promote cyber resilience and the uptake of cyber best practices. So this is also a field that we finance. So to promote good cybersecurity practices, to promote compliance with the newest cybersecurity legislation. And finally, to contribute to a strong European cybersecurity ecosystem. That means that we want to include all of the stakeholders. This relates to this community thing that I've mentioned, right? We know we have talent in Europe. We know we have technologies at the cutting edge that are being developed by European companies, that are being researched by European universities. The idea is to put this system, to create a system that can work together. So different stakeholders are aware of the opportunities that they can have. And finally, for the implementation, we are guided by 3 documents. So one is our strategic agenda, which was developed together by the member states and the EU. And then, as mentioned, we manage 2 funds. Horizon Europe, Digital Europe. So we follow the work programs of those documents in the respect to cybersecurity. And then also we implemented through the facilitation of the network of the NCC, so the public bodies that are active in every member state, connecting us to the local ecosystem. And finally, what relevant, we support the acquisition of and operation of ICT infrastructures and services. And our objectives can be broken down accordingly to our regulations into the implementation and strategic objectives. So strategic ones are obviously the developing and monitoring of the implementation of the agenda. Synergies, we want to build synergies between relevant EU institutions and European industry and the companies, coordinate the network of the NCCs and facilitate that the results of the projects we fund can be then reused for the purposes of strengthening EU cyber resilience and making EU ecosystem more competitive. And on the implementation, so we are supporting the startup SMEs, micro-enterprises, associations of technology providers in the EU. We are working accordingly to our annual work program and the annual work program for the Digital Europe program. And we are supporting the deployment of infrastructures, technologies, capabilities, among the stakeholders that require them. And finally, raising awareness. Obviously, awareness not only understood as the awareness of the cyber threats at all, or the risks that come with having underdeveloped cybersecurity system in an institution, but also awareness understood as an awareness of the funding opportunities at the EU level. The EU is producing legislation. The EU is dedicating funds to cybersecurity. It is of critical importance that entities, companies, SMEs, startups in every EU member state are aware of the opportunities that they have to fund their activities, to fund marketization, to fund R&D and I, to fund whatever is needed to boost the European cybersecurity ecosystem. And now my colleague Alina will turn to funding opportunities.
Hello. Thank you, Michał. So I'll have the pleasure to present you the funding opportunities that were mentioned previously by Michał on our implementation, under our implementation role. So you see here what are the main sources. So how this slide summarizes basically what we are funding and what is the general framework. We have two main programs, the Digital Euro program, which is a program of uptake and deployment, and the Horizon Europe. We're managing these funds and we are providing them towards the network of national coordination centers. They can receive funding from us to capacity building projects for the DEP, Digital Euro program, and to collaborative research and development programs from the Horizon Europe. This is topped up with co-investment by industry on a project basis, because mainly for the Digital Euro program, these are co-financed by the industry. It's not 100% financing rate, and they can be topped up also with co-investment on a voluntary basis by the member states. So the Digital Europe program framework has offers financing in 5 main areas, strategic areas: the high-performance computing, artificial intelligence, advanced digital skills, and of course cybersecurity that we are managing, and the building the general digital capacities. You see here what are the strategic objectives of the Digital Euro program in the deployment of technologies to business and citizens, speed up the economic recovery and digital transformation of European economy and society, and it's complementary to other EU programs like Horizon Europe. From this, we manage the funding under the cybersecurity pillar, and we have currently around 120 projects managed by the European Cybersecurity Competence Center, so by us directly, and their projects to deploy and uptake cybersecurity technologies and develop solutions in some of the areas mentioned there. So the cyber alert system through the cyber hubs or SOCs, cybersecurity in health, novel application of artificial intelligence and other advanced technologies, transition to post-quantum cryptography, 5G infrastructure, and support to European cyber legislation. So the current beneficiaries from the previous calls, you see there is 50% private for profit, out of which around 40% SMEs, and the other is public bodies and higher or secondary education, research and technology. So it's a quite even spread between private for profit and the other kind of public bodies or public interest organizations. This is what we are currently managing, so from previous calls, but what can be more interesting for you is that there is an upcoming call opening on the 4th of July with a deadline for submission on 21st of January. So this call, the Cyber 7, as we call it, the evaluation period will be February, March next year. Information received April, May next year, and we aim to have the grant signature in October 2025. So this gives you a general outline of when the projects can start if you apply and you are successful. There are 6 topics under this new call for a total of 102 million euros. 3 of the topics are related to SOCs. So we have the first 3 topics. One is the development of national SOCs, and the second, the enlarging of existing SOCs or launching new cross-border SOCs platforms. You see for the first 2 that they have in parentheses a mention of joint procurement budget, because these topics, there is a call for proposal, a grant, which is accompanied by a procurement. So it aims of developing this, the setup of the SOCs can be obtained via the grant, but it has to come in parallel to application for the procurement. If this is successful, it will lead to acquiring the technology and the equipment necessary. Then there is a third call for the third topic for the SOC, the strengthening of the SOC ecosystem, which for 2 million euros. And after that, there is development and deployment of advanced key technologies like AI, like post-quantum, like other very advanced key technologies, edge technologies. Fourth topic is preparedness, support and mutual assistance targeting larger industrial operation and installations. So this aims of increasing the cybersecurity of critical large infrastructures. And finally, the support for implementation of EU legislation on cybersecurity, which is in support of the legislative instruments mentioned already. I remind the deadlines and the timeline for these ones. We can also say that on the 9th of July, just after the opening of the call, the official opening, there will be Info Day in Brussels, a physical event where you can find out more detailed information about the different topics, but more important even maybe is a possibility to find partners, to build consortia, to pitch your ideas, and to get in touch with other possible beneficiaries across Europe. Horizon Europe, a bit of a different philosophy. This is a research and innovation program, so the focus is in the scientific excellence of the project. This is the overall structure of the Horizon Europe. This is well known in the community because it's an older program, successor to Horizon 2020. From this, in the second pillar, we will manage the projects under the Civil Security for Society topic, which will have as an objective those mentioned here, the resilient infrastructure and interconnected systems, hardware, software, and supply chain security, AI for cybersecurity reinforcement, security, privacy and ethics, advanced cryptography, and security quantification and certification. The aim of the Horizon Europe funding is to to help the innovation, to identify the projects that go beyond the state of the art and development of new solutions, as compared to the previous one, where for the Digital Euro program, it's uptake and deployment, you can present existing or state-of-the-art solution. So the philosophy is a bit different, depending where you are situated, you can find more interesting one or the other. You find all this information, so all the calls managed at the European level are published on the Funding and Tender portal. Have it in mind, because you can find useful information and everything that is open for all the possible areas funded at European level. And you will have to apply via this portal as well. And you will have some useful links, Funding and Tender portal, the Digital Euro Program website, where you can see also what are the objectives for the upcoming years, what we can be for the future in the pipeline. The General Model Grant Agreement, to understand a little bit how it's happening, what will happen if ever you're successful, what you expect, and how the commitment that you take towards us when receiving the grant, and the Digital Euro Program regulation. Coming to the next steps, maybe I invite Michał and we cover this together. So as we said, as of 2025, the ECCC will manage a Digital Euro Program budget of more than 700 million euros in the implementation of DEP Objective 3, Cybersecurity and Trust.
Yes, and the ECCC will, as planned, also assume the cybersecurity part of Horizon Europe Cluster 3, so the one that is on cybersecurity. We are already managing some Horizon Europe projects, but the management of the fund is a process that is still in the making. And then on the cyber hubs, as you might know, there is the Cyber Solidarity Act now in place, and that will develop the cyber alert system. There will be a budget to development of cyber hubs that will be funded under DEP work program.
Okay. We'll be involved in the upcoming work programs for the Digital Europe and Horizon Europe work programs. So we'll provide input in the drafting. It's our strategic role. The drafting of the work program for 25-27 is ongoing. And the action plan, the strategic agenda action plan developed by the ECCC is the starting point for that. So we'll be more and more involved in identifying the priorities, including for the funding, and putting there in the work program of what will be the main issues to look to in the upcoming years.
So I guess that would be it from us.
From and the NCC and the community.
NCC, sorry, I didn't see that one. Yes, so we are developing the community. The NCCs are going to play a key role in that. So once again, the NCCs are meant to act as the intermediaries, as the promoters of the EU funds on the national scale. And they will also contribute to the shaping of the community. There is an ongoing activity with the registration of European companies in the so-called Cybersecurity Atlas. Under development, and that will be the foundation of the community in a formalized way. Okay, so that will be from us. Follow us. You find here our contact. You can find useful information on our website. We have here a booth as well. Maybe some of you have already passed by. We'll be here tomorrow, and we can answer your questions and give you whatever information you may need further. Many thanks. Thank you.